Why is your head so big? Okay, that's a little better. This is what I've been wanting to talk to you about and get your
Okay.
opinion. It's not like crazy or anything like that. I just wanted to get your opinion on it. And I do have a question at the end of all of it. So I guess there's been changes in censoring games. So there's gaming censorship going on in like PC gaming world, and this all came about because I was looking at an Instagram, which I follow. Well, her page is Silent Middle Child, and she's basically, I think she's the youngest kid, and she records her brother, or she's the middle child. Is she the middle child? I don't know. Anyways,
I mean, it says silent middle child. You
right, but
said.
it's confusing because most of her content is her brother. So, and he might be the youngest, but he's very smart. She asks him questions about what's going on politically, just his opinions on all kinds of things, right? And he like basically explains himself and explains what's going on in such a awesome way, really. So, what he was talking about in this video was gaming censorship. And I guess recently, Steam and I think he said itch.io, which I'm not familiar with, but I don't know what it is. But I'm primarily looking at Steam, and I'm primarily looking
Mhm.
at the gaming aspects of it. And you'll see why, because you can quickly just go into everything else. But they removed all of their adult content.
All of it, or just a ton of it?
So primarily I think the stuff that's like extreme, like, so they removed it all, and
Hmm.
they did it because Visa and MasterCard told them to,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Hmm.
have you heard about it?
I am familiar with this story. Yes.
Okay, good. So why, okay, first of all, there people are up in arms about it because they're like, where's my crazy shit, right? And then, but
Well,
it's
also, like the reason why they did it is the reason people are mad. Like
right.
one vocal minority over here puts pressure on Visa to stop doing something they don't like. The domino effect messes things up for
Right. And the crazy
far
part
more
about
people.
this is it wasn't like a legislative thing. It was, like you said, it was like this small Australian group called Collective Shout that basically shouted loud enough. But from what I see, and the only thing I've learned about them from barely looking at their stuff, because their whole page is just kind of very like a lot to look at, but they started doing this stuff like 15 years ago, and basically what they do is they say on their website, Collective Shout is a grassroots campaigns movement against the objectification, why can I not say that word, objectification of women and the sexualization of girls. So pretty extreme stuff. I don't know if they're like a Christian group. I don't know if there's any religion attached to it, or if it's just women trying to help women, but they came together 15 years ago, and this is what they've been doing, and they've actually got like a lot done, including this. And what they have said is that they first try to get in contact directly, or they did contact Steam and this other platform to remove it, and because they just basically didn't listen to them, that they were like, okay, then we're going to talk to Visa and MasterCard. And it's like, this isn't just like a United States or an Australian thing. It's like global,
Right.
everywhere. And I get there what they were trying to do, or what they did, I should say, because I was looking at, I'm like, okay, what exactly were they like trying to take off? Like, what was it that was like got them all up in arms? And it wasn't stuff that wasn't like great. So I'm like, on one,
Anything they're sensitive behinds found distasteful is what they're gonna go for. Because
well, here's
if you start with something that's objectively bad to like a lot of people, that's like your foot in the door, and then they'll
well, no,
go
and that's what
further
I,
and further and further and further.
right, but primarily what they were doing is, so they, on their website, they count it as a win. And it says, win, new policy on Steam and rape and incest games removed. So that's what they were focusing on. And I'm like,
Sure.
dude, that's fine. Take that shit off. Like, I don't think there's a reason for that. Crazy idea, but like, there it says they had a successful campaign and 70,000 petition. I think they mean like 70,000 people signed it. And there's also, and they discovered 500 other games depicting all these other horrible things that are going on. So it wasn't just like, you know, uh, butt, boobs, all that stuff. It was actually like depicting some
The
illegal things.
starting point to show that they can put the pressure on someone, and then they'll go through and say, and they'll keep lowering the ceiling or
Well, and
raising the
that's what they're
floor,
saying.
however you want
Yeah,
to say
that's what the main thing is, I think, for, well, so there's like two things to this. There's the people who are like, sure, that's fine, but don't start going into all these games. Like, you're going to get shooting games off. You're going to get freaking the first Descendant because there's jiggle physics, or what do they call it? It's not jiggle physics, it's
dynamic motion.
dynamic motion. So there's that group, right? But then there's
It'll
like,
go clear past sexualizing, and then it'll go to, well, we don't like blood, so Mortal Kombat can't be sold because what's up with these
okay, but
decapitations?
that's what I'm saying.
Nope,
There's
they
that
won't
side of
stop.
it. There's that side of it, right? And the fear. But there's also the people who are like, but I like my grape games. You know what I mean? And that's the side that it's like that's what they're honing in on, it seems like, because there's like they have articles attached of like the people defending that, defending that they wanted to keep those games on there, which is like that's disgusting. Like, why would you want that? But the other fear, I get what you're saying. The other fear is not only like just the gaming, which I don't want to go too far into it, but the other thing is like, okay, so what about like medications, like birth control, things like that? So it's like if some group that is just in Australia can start something where globally they blocked
Oh yeah.
purchases, what
Hmm.
else can be done about that? So it's like, there's a big old hoopla over here about birth control, IVF, things like that. So it's like, okay, so if Visa and MasterCard can make the decision to be like, hey, this is what you got to do now, or we're not working
Process
with you.
transactions for these things, so unless you
Mm-hmm.
take them off your store, they're not going to get processed
Right.
right.
So, and that's it's like Visa and Mastercard basically have like it's not a monopoly because it's two of them, but they're pretty fucking big. So it's like, where's the line? So,
Hmm.
so that's what I know, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to keep it in the gaming thing because I'm like, you can just go so far off the deep end. But from what I see from this, the little bit that I see on Collective Shout, they're just basically getting that off. It's like
To
nothing
start.
deeper. But it is scary because when other groups start to see, like you said, you get an inch, they ask for 10 bajillion miles, and it's
There's
all
blood in the water, the sharks will
right,
come.
exactly. So, but my question to you is, because I think it's without question that there shouldn't be these games out there. I don't think there should be those kinds of games out there personally because I feel like it's a little scary. Um, but do you think this should have been done the way it was done through Visa and MasterCard? Do you think Steam should actually regulate it, or do you think it should be like a legislative thing?
I don't think any of this should have happened at all.
What do you mean?
So, if you've got game content, I don't care if it's non consensual behaviors. I don't care if it's blood. I don't care if it's stupid jump scares. I don't care if it's weird little magic spell bean games that don't have controller support that upset me. I don't care what it is. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't want people playing it,
Mm-hmm.
just use the rating system and enforce it. Now, I don't like the idea of Steam having to like acquiesce to those new rules that are happening starting in Europe where you have to have basically a real ID, but the internet is going to go towards us having to scan our ID to do
Mm-hmm.
things. That right there is actually the solution to this. If you are 18 or 21 or 25 or 60 and older, I genuinely personally do not care what kind of content you consume. Truthfully, don't, because that is literally none of my business. So if somebody wants to sell you a game about selling drugs to third graders, I am capable of separating that into being that is just a game. It is not real. And in the most extreme sense, if that game keeps you from doing that in real life because you were doing it in a game, lovely. Third graders do not need their hands on narcotics at all. But if someone else who doesn't like it can say, oh, I've got 70,000 signatures saying don't do this, and we don't like it either. There's 130 million people that use Steam.
Yeah, but
70,000 is
I'm
not a big enough slice of the pie for it to feel like it should matter. I feel like Visa should have said, get me 70 million
well,
signatures and
I
then I'll do something.
well, here's the thing. So I do kind of want to keep it on what they were blocking, because this is just that's neither here nor there in my book. Because it's like it hasn't happened. Will it happen? Probably. I
Yeah.
mean, that's been video games thing this whole time. Imagine like when I mean, shoot, when Mortal Kombat got real graphic, like that was. It's always been a thing. Like oh, gun violence in games and la 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 la, all this crap. But it's like there's nothing tied to it. But this was actually stuff that is quite disturbing. And on like you said, on
Sure.
one hand it's like, well, maybe this is an outlet, so then like these certain psychopaths or whatever don't do that. But that's
I will,
also like what.
I am hardwired from like being 7 years old to be opposed to the argument that video games are the cause of any bad
Oh no,
behavior.
I
I
agree.
distinctly remember seeing in a newspaper, an actual physical newspaper, 1,000 years ago, screenshots from like Double Dragon saying video games are causing children to be more violent. And I, a child at the time who had just put quarters into a Double Dragon machine, because I have never played it in an arcade, said, I have played the game that they're showing in that picture, and I have never in my life thought, I'm gonna go outside, put on a Canadian tuxedo, and pick up a pipe off the ground and start beating random thugs on the street over the head with it. Video games do not give you the idea to do that any more than buddy cop movies tell me I'm just gonna go rogue and I'm gonna stop the drug cartel. You
Right.
don't
No,
do
I
that.
I agree with you. I mean,
And
even
I
way back in the day before video games, they were saying that about comic books.
comic books and Dungeons and Dragons where devil worship because it made you imagine demons. And I
Mhm.
actually continue that train of thought about
I
things
get
of
that.
a mature
But
sexual nature also.
I totally get that, but I think since they haven't like went on that, I think it's just to like protect women, and because like women have been objectified for so long that I
But
think in
they
their
were
I'm trying to see it from their
before we
eyes.
had pixels.
I understand that. But then so is the dudes on the freaking red pill YouTube crap. But boys are eating that shit up. So it's
Yes, they
like
are.
on one hand, I'm like I'm with you. I get it. It's like it's fake. It's whatever. Maybe I'm of mind that I like to think that there's mature people, but the realistic thing is they're not. Like, and then there's people with parents who aren't helping, because at the end of the day, it's the parents that aren't describe, like they're not, like, I guess, teaching them like, hey, these games aren't real, hey, kind of just talking to your freaking kids, I guess. So that's where these kids like can totally get deep in games or totally get deep in movies. I mean, they try to blame Eminem for the shootings that
For
happened,
all
like,
kinds of stuff.
right.
Right.
So it's like that at the end of the day, it's not the content that they're getting, it's the fact that nobody's talking to them and like
That's a big piece,
raising
sure.
them. So
Hmm.
I totally get what you're saying, but I also kind of get what they're saying. It's like we get that, but also we think that if we could just take this off, that society everywhere will realize, like, hey, start treating women with respect. You know what I mean? So like I
I get
get that,
their
but
idea, but
yeah,
that
I
is
totally do.
literally that thought process is stepping on the toes of like free speech. You don't have to like what someone's saying for it to be
But it's
protected by
not.
free speech.
It's not
And
free speech to
and
to grape and incest and all these
it
other
is not
things.
to do it, but to talk about it. And YouTube is bad enough because
Oh
you're
my
saying a
god.
thing of a fruit because they
I
don't want you
know.
saying a word that is a real word.
I
Like
know.
There's nothing wrong with the word. The word is nothing but a symbol for an idea. The
But it's not
concept
for
and performance
people
is the thing
who,
that's the problem.
well, that's the thing. It's not, I don't think it's for people who have I'm not going to say intellectual because I don't think you have to be intellectual to understand what's fake and real, but it's
Go
for
with the morals and the sense.
right, but not everybody has that.
Sure don't. But I also think you
So
shouldn't.
I
I
get
don't
both
think you should
sides. I
remove.
do.
Remember when we were at Dish and all the adult channels all cost like $35 a month, and then HBO was like 12, $14 a month, and it was like, why do these
Yeah.
cost so much? Because Visa, Mastercard, and whoever was handling the transactions, the digital transactions for Dish, didn't approve of that kind of thing. So they
So
just charged a massive premium for it because they didn't like it for no other reason. So it's like,
either that or just get the Spanish package and you get Playboy for
and you
free.
got, and for some reason that came free with the Spanish package. Like, what? But that's the same
um,
thing that would happen here. Like, I would say, you know, just for certain games, especially for the adult content games, the
mhm.
adult sexual content games, you got to get carded for that.
I just
You
feel
have to
okay. Like
verify that you're old enough.
I,
But then they would still tax the crap out of it with the extra fee because we don't approve of that, so we're gonna charge you more for it, which is bull.
why are you so passionate? No, I mean,
Because I'm afraid of Mortal Kombat costing 38 extra dollars because
well, that's what
some
I'm saying.
stick
Like,
up their ass person doesn't like
well,
Scorpion burning
also,
people with hellfire.
I do think the cost is also a little gatekeepish because it's like it's just like how like alcohol is going to cost more than a freaking Gatorade bottle. You know what I mean? Like it's just that it's like, oh, okay, if you're adult, you have adult money, so you can. But with a kid with like no money, is not going to spend like $50 a month on the premium, you know, nudity
Right.
package.
And then adults
So
that have, bills can't afford, like, man, I can afford TV, I can afford my streaming service, but I can't afford 54.99 for that one stream. Like,
by
you
the
just
way,
won't
if
get it, and then the
anybody's
whole thing
paying,
dies.
I just want to say, if anybody's paying money at this day and age to see some nudity, knock yourself out. Like, and I don't mean knock yourself out, like go for it. I mean, like, hit yourself. Because,
Like,
like,
if you're paying money, it better be live. I'm just
right.
saying, if you're paying money for a
But
screen, let me teach you the ways of the
listen, I'm
internet.
all for, like, there's a bunch of games that I've heard of where it's like, well, look, what was the game where everybody was talking about it? Like, I can't remember. Kratos was doing some girls, I can't remember who it was that he was doing. It was so funny to me though.
The
Th-
Aphrodite scene with Kratos, and you
yes.
got, yeah, 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 yeah.
There's that. I think, was it Cyber something? What was that damn game?
Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So that kind of stuff, I'm like, listen, we all do it. That's normal. There's nothing terrible going on there. That I'm like, yeah, maybe put, an age limit, maybe whatever, whatever. But and then also like as a parent, I like at that point I've never played Cyberpunk. I've never done anything like that, but I had my finger on the pulse the moment I heard that. I was like, if my kid asks for Cyberpunk, I'm going to be like, why?
It's what you're supposed to do. Like,
Right.
oh, your 8-year-old wants Cyberpunk 2077. It's like, because it's awesome. No. But dad, I saw the anime Edge Runners on Netflix. What were you watching that for? Like, that's a failure of a
Exactly.
parent. You shouldn't have been
Exactly.
watching that either.
Right. But like that's the type of stuff you should be doing it as a parent. But also like I feel like if he were to go to a friend's house and then like see that or whatever, I'd be like whatever. But if he goes to a friend's house and sees like some creepy ass shit that he should not be seeing, that shouldn't be happening, I would lose my shit. Like point
For
blank.
sure.
And so there's a difference between Kratos doing Aphrodite and crazy things that you would see on the dark web. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
that was my thing on it. But no, my main question, if you had to choose, because you kind of answered it a little bit, but
I
like
have to choose. Let it all hang out.
if no,
Like, seriously, if I had to choose, I would restrict nothing for sale by the purchaser.
honestly,
I
you
would
know
just
what?
age gate everything. I
You
would
know
just
what?
put the rating on it and be like, if you are not 18, you have no business playing this. Nah, seriously.
You know what's
And if
wild?
your parents complain, we're going to prosecute them for letting you, the minor, have it like it's contraband for minors. I put so much of the onus for things like this on parents, and it's like reason number
Yeah.
21 why I am not a parent. I don't want them responsibilities. So
Right.
that's what you got to deal with.
Mhm.
So if it was
I
up
agree.
to me, I wouldn't even I if it was up to me back in the video store in 1994, there wouldn't even be the little beaded curtain behind that one back room at the local video store. It would just
Mm.
be open and be like, "Hey, you can't go back there." Because there'd be a sign saying you must be older than 18 to come back into this room. And when the kids don't read the sign and wander back there and they get their whole innocence stripped from them by box cover art, I would yell at their mama like, "What was you doing back there? What were you doing with the kids running around? You know what's here? It's not my problem. It's your problem." But
I
that's
just think
why
it's
I don't run
crazy how
things.
they had that, but then you go to like a Spencer's store and there's like
A Jack Skellington t-shirt. Oh, a Koopa shell backpack. Go a little further back. Oh, look at this dope Venom hoodie. What is this whole wall of battery
mhm.
operated phallically adjacent shaped things that are all
Mhm.
pastel colors except for that big black one? Is that a fist? Okay, we're done.
But yeah, so like I mean, I feel like it's kind of rough because I'm like, should it be a legislative thing? And I mean, in the good old United States, our shit is crumbling. So like, you're not
The
gonna get
legislature
anything
is
passed through.
broken. They shouldn't be doing anything.
Right. Until
They're
all these
busted.
geezers pass, aside from Bernie, I hope he lasts forever. Um, I just think like we're not gonna get anything done within the
Oh no, this is
next.
gonna get worse before it gets better. It's gonna
Right.
absolutely get worse.
But I do think it probably would be on, in this example, Steam, I would think, because it is a scary slippery slope. But there is, just so I mention, there's a bill, if this matters to anybody, there's a bill called HR 987, Fair Access Banking, or Fair Access to Banking Act. And it's basically like saying like, hey, look, this is going to place restrictions on like banks, credit unions, and like other payment things, payment card, what do they call it? Payment card networks, if they refuse to do business with a person who complies with the law. So restrictions include prohibiting the use of electronic funds transfer systems and lending programs, termination, blah 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 blah. So basically, it's like this is gonna help, like not give them that much power.
It
So
should.
I hope so. I mean, they introduced it in February of this year.
The other hurdle they have to get over with Steam is I can walk to the grocery store, buy a $50 gift card for
Oh yeah,
Steam
sure.
with cash or anything, and then put that
Well,
code in. Boom, I have $50 to pay for whatever I want, and the whole transaction kind of sidesteps some of those external third parties that handle the money. They don't like that
well,
because
that's why I think
what's stopping me then?
what the age restrictions on Steam, I think it should also come with like you can't erase the history of your search. You can't erase the history of your game, games that you've downloaded. I think if you just keep that on there so when parents are looking at it, you can see it.
Yeah,
I think that's important, but I also think it's very important to like, I don't know, find the creators of these games and figure out what you doing, bro? And like put them on blast. Like
I mean,
cuz
what if it's this dude sitting in a dungeon somewhere, sweating it out, coding that game like this is the only thing keeping me from committing a felony? Like, oh, please tell me your therapist knows this and you're seeing one. Please.
also, I just this is just a crazy theory here. What if some of these things were used to capture people doing these types of things and they just totally got in the way of
Blocking a bunch of
investigations?
sting after. This is a multiple sting operation
Right.
genre,
And then
and we are just
Steam's like,
boom, boom, boom,
bro,
boom, boom.
we can't say nothing because the FBI said if we say something, they're gonna shut
That would
us
be
down.
crazy if at the bottom of all this was Chris Hansen with the transcripts of everybody buying these, and he's just like, I
I'm
got all these
just saying.
addresses to go to, and he's just, have a seat. I want to talk to you about your game purchases on Steam. I didn't know that. I've got the transcripts. Like
That shit would be such a
To
good
Catch a
show.
Predator Steam edition. That would be cool. I would
Dun
not
dun dun
mind
dun.
that.
It'd be great.
But no, I like your point. Like the the minor or child or juvenile account for Steam
Mm,
should not let you be able to hide or change your filters or preferences, and the parent should be able to see the whole unfettered
the
history of
whole
what you looked
enchilada.
up because that. But now, once you have an adult, non-juvenile, I pay my own bills. I have my own relationships and significant others and spouse or whatnot. You should be able to delete your history because you don't want them problems if you married Polly Puritan and she don't like you playing Mortal Kombat.
Sure, I mean, once they're like, obviously.
But why'd you marry that crazy woman? Because Mortal Kombat is good, even though Mortal Kombat 1 was junk for a while. But the latest upgrade made Mortal Kombat 1 better right now. Current state, it's good. But
But okay, cool. Just wanted to talk about that, and I think that's all I fucking had to say about it, if I'm being honest.
if we offended you, I'm sure you're thin skinned because I didn't say nothing that inflammatory this time. But if
Inflammatory?
anyone watching this knows a way to get a good VPN that hides everything from my internet service provider, I think now is the time to start talking about those kind of next thing in the conversation. Just saying, throwing that out there.
You're
I'm
ridiculous.
gonna buy a I'm gonna buy a tricorn hat with plumage and an eye patch, because I feel like we need to pirate everything, not just sultry, bad, saucy, naughty stuff, but like I'm not paying for Disney Plus, and I don't know why I should.
Agreed. All right.
I'm done. All right.